All right, let's jump right in. In a world that is always demanding instant answers and super quick decisions, Michael Bungay Stanier's book, The Coaching Habit, kind of flips the whole idea of leadership on its head. So today, we're going to break down how this book is way more than just a set of techniques. It's actually a quiet little rebellion against our advice-obsessed culture. And it all kicks off with this pretty radical idea. Slow down, ask more, and say less. Now, this is so much more than just a catchy phrase. It's the core philosophy that really challenges how we think about modern management. It's asking us to fight that powerful urge to be the expert with all the solutions and instead, become the guide who just happens to have all the right questions. So you might be asking, why do we even need a rebellion like this? Well, Stanier argues it's because our crazy, fast-paced world has created this culture where leaders feel this massive pressure to have a fix for every single problem, like right now. And that doesn't just make people dependent on you, it's actually really disempowering for the people we're supposed to be leading. This whole book is a movement to change that dynamic. And this slide just illustrates that trade-off perfectly. I mean, think about it. On one side, you've got the heavy weight of authority and control. But on the other, you have the much lighter, more dynamic power of curiosity and influence. Stanier's point is that real leadership isn't about throwing your authority around, but about sparking curiosity, both in your team and, just as importantly, in yourself. Okay, so to get this new habit down, we have to face the villain of this story. And it's not your boss, it's not a difficult colleague, nope. It's something that's inside every single one of us. And Stanier gives it this brilliant name, the advice monster. Just looking at this, you can almost hear that inner voice, can't you? That little voice that just can't help but jump in and say, oh, here's what you should do. It feels good, right? Especially if you're a high achiever, it feels amazing to have the answer to prove how valuable we are. But Stanier argues that this instinct, it's often way more about us than it is about actually helping the other person. Think of it like this. Every single time we jump in with a solution, it's like we're solving the maze for somebody else. We're robbing them of the chance to wrestle with the problem, to find their own way through, and at the end of the day, to build their own confidence and skills. So taming that advice monster, it's really an act of generosity. Okay, so if we're supposed to stop dishing out advice, what are we supposed to do instead? Well, this is where Stanier gives us this incredibly practical, powerful toolkit. And these aren't just any questions. He calls them gateways to much deeper, more meaningful conversations. Let's just walk through these for a second. It starts really broad and gentle with what's on your mind. Then this little gem. And what else? This simple follow-up is pure gold because it pushes for more depth. The first answer is almost never the whole story. Number 3. What's the real challenge here for you? Is like a scalpel. It cuts right through all the surface level stuff. Then, what do you want? It sounds simple, but it's a surprisingly tough question to answer, and it forces people to get clear and take ownership. Next, how can I help? This one is huge because it stops us from just assuming we know what they need. Number 6 is basically a compass for priorities. If you're saying yes to this, what are you saying no to? And finally, what was most useful? It closes the loop so beautifully, and it reinforces the learning from the conversation itself. Now, the real genius here isn't just memorizing these questions. It's about turning them into an actual habit. Stanier's big idea is that coaching shouldn't be some special event you have to schedule. It should be as natural and common as checking your email. It has to become an everyday thing. And he uses a little behavioral science to show us how to do it. It's the classic habit loop, right? So the trigger is whenever a team member comes to you asking for help. Your old habit was to just give them the advice. The new routine is to resist that urge and instead ask one of the 7 questions. And the reward? Oh, it's powerful. You get a colleague who feels more empowered, you get a much clearer outcome, and honestly, you often get a better solution than the one you would have just handed over. And that right there, that is the key takeaway. It's all about moving away from these scheduled one-off coaching sessions to a nonstop, continuous loop of curiosity that's just baked into your daily rhythm, in your meetings, your one-on-ones, even those quick chats in the hallway. This shift is what makes this whole approach so revolutionary. So what's the real-world impact of all this? What's the payoff for adopting this philosophy? Well, it's not just about becoming a better manager on paper. It's about building a more resilient, more innovative, and more engaged team that can actually solve its own problems. It fundamentally upgrades the capacity of your entire organization. But let's be honest for a second. This isn't always easy. There's an emotional texture to it. I mean, asking questions instead of just giving answers means you have to be vulnerable as a leader.
It takes patience, it can feel a little slow, maybe even uncertain at times. But what you're building in that space is so much more valuable than a quick fix. You're building trust. You're signaling to your team, hey, I believe in you, I trust you to figure this out.
And this slide just lays out the contrast so clearly. The old model of leadership, that command and control style, it's breaking down because let's face it, no single person can possibly have all the answers anymore. The new model that the coaching habit is all about is rooted in inquiry, empathy, and empowerment. It's not about being less decisive. It's about being more discerning and building a team that is way more capable and autonomous.
And we'll end on this really powerful idea. Ultimately, this is the philosophy Stanier is offering us. It completely shifts the definition of what it even means to be a leader. So the final question you should walk away with isn't, do you have the right answers? It's, are you asking the right questions? What do you think would change if you just started leading with a little more curiosity tomorrow?